I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I think she's a backpacker. The only guarantees in life are death, taxes, and the Lone King extensively researching the weekly LC attendees' online profiles. Luke could be given a set of initials and a stock photo profile picture, and he'll still find out the person's mother's maiden name. Imagine how unnerving it must be to enter a room of strangers and find out that one of them has already been tailing you online. Then there's Laffy Lava Hands. I used to play minor with him. That's just what I need. An old acquaintance of Luke's named Laffy Lava Hands. That's what's going to make this week a memorable one. Hearing them talk about all the great times they had playing minor together. Maybe they'll tell us about the time the Lone King was on fire, or the time Laffy Lava Hands drank supermarket cider from some ostensibly prestigious trophy. I didn't even know Luke had anything resembling a GAA background. I should probably clarify with Dominic and Luke that they did actually follow the archetypal loner progression, half-heartedly probing different social groups for a few months of adolescence before taking to the bedroom for the next 15 years until the self-loathing became unbearable and they were forced to try something else. If Luke played minor, then who knows what sort of decadence the Neastlord was capable of back in his day. The three regulars are the first to show up this week. As we listen to Luke's guest list findings, the first of the newcomers shows up. She's Chinese, has taken the name Ariel as her Western identity, and struggles to communicate in English. The Lone King informs her that he loves Chinese food, especially spice bags and other things no Chinese person would ever have heard of. Fortunately, there aren't any high-profile Chinese footballers, so she spared one of the classic Lone King rants. I hope this isn't Ariel's introduction to Western men. She'll think we're all offbeat buffoons. We're not. Well, we are, the three of us. But she might end up judging millions of people on a contaminated sample pool. Despite her low level of comprehension, Luke is speaking at a fast pace and filling his discourse with slang. Ariel takes advantage of a brief pause by mustering up the words, "You work?" "I'm a project manager in the construction industry." Well done, Luke. You've told a whopper to someone who won't appreciate the reality of constructed. Things have been hectic lately. I'm just enjoying some downtime. We live in a perpetual state of downtime in Loner Club.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Alright, yeah.
Having verbalized many dubious claims to his befuddled conversation partner, Luke has moved on to a historically inaccurate account of the construction of the Great Wall when a reasonably well-dressed man of almost 6 feet walks in. He approaches the table confidently and asks the Neastlord and I,
"Is this the language exchange?"
Luke glances up from his speech partner and abandons his monologue. He jumps to his feet and roars, "Laffy Lava Hands!" This is met with a bemused look as they shake hands. He looks like he's attempting to politely formulate a way of asking, "Who the hell are you?" when Luke blurts out, "I haven't seen you in years, man." For a second it seems like Luke's research has been uncharacteristically off, so he blurts out, "Luke McCann." Still nothing. "We played football together. Everyone used to call you Laffy Lava Hands." Suddenly it clicks, but their eureka moment is fleeting as Laffy still seems confused.
"Oh, that was for about a fortnight, 20 years ago. I'd completely forgotten about that. That was just some nonsense my geography teacher started. I've been John Laughing for the other 30-odd years of my life."
His tone isn't angry, but there is a shade of frustration in his voice. Nonplussed, Luke continues. You love it here. We watch all the matches. You haven't seen this guy in years, and somehow you know that his priorities haven't advanced beyond watching football ad nauseum. John, as he insists, proceeds to innocently ask one of the most taboo questions in Loner Club.
So what languages are we practicing?
Normally, only people from outside Limerick make this mistake. Most locals would scope out this group and find out enough to keep them away. I wonder how this John guy missed out on all of this. Ah, well, I sometimes help people with their English. Yeah, you, Luke McCann, a man with a substantially below average grasp of grammar, are in a position to help people with their English. Nonsense. No language skills. I need to keep my French up. My niece might need grinds. You haven't spoken French once. Not even when those stoners from Bordeaux showed up to Loner Club. Again, no language skills. My turn. Shit. What do I say? I could just say nothing. That's the usual solution. Doesn't look like that'll cut it. John has nodded a cue for me to speak. I'm hoping to learn Spanish. No need to caveat that by explaining that I mean hoping in the Finn Rossiter sense of the word.
Spanish, brilliant. That's why I came here. I'm moving to Colombia in a few weeks. I need to chew my ear.
Oh fuck. Please don't start speaking Spanish to me. I don't want to verbalize anything that might out me as a pathetic little loner. I would gladly settle for a story about them drinking out of that trophy. Fuck. Let's see if I can offload him on the Lone King. So, you two used to play minor? John laughs. I'm delighted with the respite.
Yeah, Luke played minor all right. He played a minor role in the under-14s, and that was the end of his GAA career.
Luke stays silent for 10 seconds, one of his eyes looking like it's slightly twitching behind his glasses. The next interaction will be telling, but that troublesome Farley's door starts to make noise, and Luke helps open it as a way of escaping that awkward moment. It's Redmond, and Luke tries to direct him towards his new best friend Ariel, but Redmond and John recognize each other and convene. It turns out Redmond used to give coaching sessions at the company at which John works, and they engage in a respectful conversation, albeit one that's full of executive jargon. Ariel looks uninterested in Luke's attempts to rekindle their eternal flame. Luke hovers around, noticeably avoiding John. Upon realizing that there are no other conversations to invade, he gives up and jackets up. He normally goes out of his way to shake everyone's hand before leaving, but he's far more subdued today and just glances at everyone before disappearing. With Luke out of the picture, I await my moment to find out more from John. Redmond is rattling off acronyms that John looks like he's struggling to keep up with. I take advantage of a brief break in the stream of jargon with, Luke normally doesn't leave this early.
Yeah, I didn't offend him, did I?
You didn't say anything offensive.
I know, but I get the feeling he didn't like my minor joke.
It's just, he stalked the guest list and he told me that there's a guy there with whom he used to play minor. Oh, his name is Laffy Lavahands.
He never played minor. He used to come to the matches and shout at us from the sidelines. He was like a water boy. No, we had water boys and they used to actually give us water. Luke used to just shout at us. He was more like an angry cheerleader.
Goldmine. The reason Luke never mentioned that he played minor is because he never played minor. He recognized John and tried to latch onto his achievements. Without ever being rude, John managed to put Luke in his place every bit as much as Jill did that fateful night.
I'm sorry. I don't want to bitch about him. I know he's your friend.
Oh shit, he's stopping.
It's just a weird way of reconnecting.
Anyway, I'm going to bounce too.
Well, it was good while it lasted, but it looks like I won't get any more stories about Luke's adolescence. John came here and was subjected to executive coaching jargon, false memories, and didn't get to speak one word of Spanish. Farewell, Mr. Laffin.
Can I get your numbers?
What the hell? There's no way he actually enjoyed it tonight. Still though, the possibility of further Luke stories is an enticing prospect. I'm currently en route to a pub I've never been to before, following a message from John. He invited me in order to practice my Spanish. And even though I was tempted to create a not particularly credible lie about being busy, I feel I can navigate the choppy waters of language exchange in order to squeeze out some facts about Mr. Lone King. I arrive and am shocked at how busy this place is. They seem to be going for a minimalist look, and I quickly gather a lot about the crowd by the fact that a "Rent is Theft" poster sits proudly above the taps. As I make my way through a selection of interesting hair colours, I spot John sitting at a table with two women, both of whom are clearly Latin. Shit. I imagined him giving me a private class. He actually expects me to try to speak to these people in Spanish. I should have just stayed at home.
Pot noodles would never make me try to speak Spanish.
I take a seat and John speaks to them in what sounds like very impressive Spanish. I have no idea what he said. Perhaps this loser is pretending to learn Spanish. Whatever he said, the women smile at me and offer their hands.
Gabriela.
Montserrat.
Monster rat.
Montserrat.
I've really fucked up. I haven't known these women for a single minute, and I've already called one of them a monster rat. There's no way back from here. Amazingly, the two women erupt in laughter. This has to be suppressed, so I say, "Fin." They respond in Spanish before saying,
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully I'm not a monster, and hopefully not a rat.
shit, suppression lifted. Luckily, John has entered the chat and informs me that Gabriela is his girlfriend, and she's from Colombia. Played minor, has a good job, gorgeous girlfriend, speaks perfect Spanish, and has a functioning social circle. I have a feeling I'll be doing a bit of downbeat soul searching later on. Gabriela starts speaking Spanish to me, and all I can do is blush and turn to John for a translation. Let the mockery commence. He says something to him in Spanish before saying,
They're just asking if you want to practice Spanish.
We can help you.
adds Gabriela. She seems remarkably enthusiastic to speak to someone who has been outed as a fraud. She's acting as if it doesn't matter that I came here essentially on false pretenses. Over the course of the next few minutes, they get me to repeat several phrases that I'm sure I'm mangling. John sits there, entertained without looking judgmental. He occasionally throws me out a tip.
It's spelled like me in English, but it's pronounced me. Me llamo John.
A phone call causes him to depart after this piece of advice, and I'm left to battle my way through the most basic of sentences. I manage to avoid revealing my age as we keep drilling, "How old are you?" when John returns and calls me aside. Shit, was this all just a test to see which people are actually learning languages? As of half an hour ago, I have learned about 12 words, so technically I might have passed his exam. We station ourselves by the bar, and John turns to me.
I just got a call from my mate's brother. He's bailing on me at the last moment.
I stare at John, unsure whether to pry or not. What's he doing hanging out with his friend's brother? I'm sure I'll find out if I'm supposed to.
I knew the staggered stag was a bad idea, but we had too many people who'd miss it if it had just been the one night. Organising a stag is a nightmare, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. My only experience of a stag is the one that made me cry in Cool Park when I was 7. I'll just ask questions relentlessly rather than share that bit of information. What are you doing for the stag?
We're going clay pigeon shooting for the first part this weekend. And then we're going on a cruise the following week. And the last one is in his uncle's pub. But I'll be in Colombia by then. Something for everyone.
So this guy bailed on the clay pigeon shooting.
Yeah, the shooting and the bus have all been paid for. So actually dead money. That is, unless anyone wants to take a spot. No charge. Just show up and shoot some clay pigeons.
Is he going to ask me if any of my friends would be interested? Fuck, if he thinks that, then I'm getting good at playing the role of a normie. Oh wait, he's brought me here to ask the barman. That's it.
You interested?
I'm in shock. I've known this guy for days, and I've already been invited to more stag parties than in the rest of my life. I tried to hold back my enthusiasm, but still comes through as I accept the invitation. We return to our seats and spend the best part of an hour in an improvised language class. This only comes to an end when John signals his and Gabriela's intention to leave. Montserrat doesn't look like she's ready to leave just yet. After she participates in quite a physical moment of leave-taking, she returns to her seat.
They are the best couple.
I nod in agreement.
I don't know how I can live here without them. It's very hard when you come to a new place and have no friends.
I imagine so. But surely it's harder to only ever be in one place and have no friends there.
I have been here for 3 months, and apart from Gabriela and John, I don't really have anyone.
3 months? Pfft, try your entire adult life that way.
I'm trying to work out a way to empathize with her without showing my lonely hand. It must be difficult.
It's so difficult. Sometimes I feel bad because John and Gabby need time together. They always meet me for coffee.
I'm finding it harder to sympathize with her now. She always has people to hang out with, and that's not enough. Try dining alone once and you'll be counting your blessings. Conversation hits a lull. She breaks it by asking,
Would you like to go for coffee sometime?
"Oh, I don't really like coffee." Let's see what crazy alternatives she offers. Those fancy tea rooms or a Latin restaurant. I'm all ears. All ears, but they're staying empty for the moment. The silence is eventually broken by Montserrat saying she needs to use the bathroom. Right. Let's see if she comes back from the toilet with a suggestion. I have no idea what was going on at the toilet, but Montserrat returns with disgruntled facial expressions. She's barely sat down when she reveals that her friend from back home messaged her and she needs to leave to make a video call. She's already caught the attention of a waitress and is packing away her stuff. Must have been a fairly urgent call. She seems even colder when saying goodbye to me. I know better than pressing her. We'll see if a bubble tea is on the cards in due course.
Right, it's Saturday, and I'm going to a stag party. Yes, it's as a last-minute replacement, and I don't actually know the guy getting married. However, if you ask me if I've been to a stag party, I will, in about 6 hours' time, be able to truthfully reply yes. I've heard multiple references to bottles of wine when you get invited to something. So I've bought a bottle of supermarket wine, and not even the cheapest option. It's the least I could do. Well, no. The least I could do would be nothing, and by God I considered it. However, I do need to start adhering to social etiquette if I ever hope to escape the loner club bubble. I arrive at the meeting point, and it's only John at the moment. He runs through some of the attendees, and at one point I spot him peering cautiously at my bottle of wine. He's rattling off names when it dawns on me that he has no alcohol on him. I realise that people don't bring bottles of wine to stag parties. It's dinner parties or something. Fuck. If I don't get rid of it soon, I'll be in for all sorts of abuse from the stag folk. John is giving me descriptions of the guest list, and I think of every possible way to get rid of my fermented companion. I could run to a public toilet and forget it. I could pawn it off on a wino and try to pass it off as my good deed for the day. None of these lads know how out of character that would be for me. It all becomes academic when the first attendee shows up. His name is James, and he doesn't say anything about the bottle of wine. The same occurs for the next few people to show up, and just as I think I'm in the clear, I'm introduced to Padder Binch. He lets out guffaws, and I can see him making other people uncomfortable, but nowhere near as uncomfortable as he's making me. The final few lads arrive and we take off. Binch makes 3 jokes about the wine within the first 10 minutes, before asking me if he could open it with his penknife. I find it strangely assuring that my bottle of wine isn't the most incongruous object on the bus. That honour lies with me, but I also feel it's a bit weird to bring a penknife clay pigeon shooting. Binch sculls the bottle of wine in front of me, eliciting cheers from the rest of the bus. I worriedly ask about the rule about intoxication listed on the shooting range's website, but Binch assures me that the clay pigeons won't mind. Everyone else is extremely courteous to me, and it almost gives me hope to see how people treat a last-minute replacement. That feeling is somewhat stymied by my discomfort with Binch. He just seems so unpredictable. John and some of his friends clearly have shooting experience, and they make bits of the clay pigeons. Myself and Binch are struggling, albeit for different reasons. Binch is tipsy and seems more interested in commentating than shooting. He turns to me and suggests we shout out names of people we hate before firing. He goes first.
Donald Trump.
Miss. I roar. Fergal Quinlan. Miss.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Miss. Liam Kavanagh. Miss.
Andrew Tate.
Miss. Darren Kelleher. Hit! I got one! Kelleher of all of them.
He wasn't even the worst.
There's a big reaction now that I've managed to hit the target. And Binch approaches me to shake my hand.
I meant famous people. Who are those people you mentioned?
I have absolutely no idea how to reply. I fear that one of those names could have been recognised. Before I can attempt to respond, the range manager emerges to find out what everyone was celebrating. There's little else to write home about over the course of the afternoon, until the bus departs and everyone goes their separate ways. John calls me aside and, after verifying that I had indeed enjoyed myself, moves on to another important point.
So, I was talking to Muncie, and she said she asked you for coffee, and you said no.
I didn't say no.
Look, I don't know what she said to each other, but I know that whatever you said, she interpreted as no. I don't know about your circumstances, but I tried to push the two of you together so you could learn Spanish from her, maybe see what happens. She wasn't too happy, but anyway, if you get the chance to meet someone for coffee, make sure you go.
I feel as if John's my father, and he did everything he could for me, and I managed to fuck it up as only I can. I feel uncomfortable and eager to leave, but I have to ask something first. Would you be coming to Farley's on Tuesday?
Well, we're pretty busy organising the trip, but I'll definitely be at Langlestrade at some point before leaving.
We both know we won't see each other again. This must be the loner equivalent of a banana republic. You put all your efforts into making one friend, and when that friendship collapses, your whole world falls apart. I'll have to go back to Dominic and Luke on Tuesday with my tail between my legs.